It's Jeremiah 50 and verse 22, and it reads, "A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction." It's the book of Isaiah 13 and verse 4, and it reads, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh and the weapons of his indignation, to destroy the whole land." All praises, honor, and glory be to the God of heaven and earth, whose name is Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, whose name is Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh, bless the Lord Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai, bless the Lord Yahweh Shai. All praises, once again, be to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai. And I'm speaking in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew tongue, which was the primitive language of the earth when you go back to Genesis, the 11th chapter. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel. Barakim La Habayath Madawadah. Blessings to the house of David, which you brothers labor in, day in and day out, giving all diligence, making your calling of election sure. And to the Akim Wa'akwath, which are the brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel being preached throughout the four corners of the earth. Unto you I say Shalom, Shalom, and Barakatham Kal Bakaryim. Blessings to the believing brothers and sisters, right, who listen, who tune in, and who've also returned and repented by way of truth. Those that have returned and come back to be Israelites again, and come back to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So blessings to you, Akim, you brothers, and you, Akwath, and you sisters. Now, this lesson is going to get into, prophecy going into the two armies is rising, and the nations that are with the Medes. This is from this article here. Let me see, from stdaily.com, and it says that the heading 2024 summit underscores BRICS growing clout. So this is in the BRICS summit that they've had recently, and this is in Russia. It says a view shows banners with the logo of the upcoming 16th BRICS summit with the Kol Sharif Mosque at the Kazan Kremlin seen in the background in Kazan Republic of Tatarstan, Russia. It goes on to say the 2024 BRICS Summit will take place in Kazan, Russia from October 22nd to October the 24th, which that's going on currently. With the theme strengthening, it says multilateralism for just global development and security. This is the first BRICS Summit after the membership expansion, according to a Sputnik report on October 14th, that 33 countries have already announced their participation in the summit, highlighting the growing influence of the group. Brazil, Russia, India, China established BRIC in 2006, and South Africa officially joined in 2011, making it BRICS. New members, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, Iran, and Ethiopia joined on January the 1st, 2024, doubling the membership from 5 to 10. During the upcoming summit, admitting around 10 more new members will be discussed, according to Belarusian Foreign Minister Maxim Rizhenkov. Sri Lankan Foreign Minister, whatever his name is, said on October the 14th that Sri Lanka will place on record its request for membership at the Outreach BRICS Summit. Malaysia and Turkey have already submitted their requests for memberships in July and September, respectively. So far, around 30 countries have applied for membership. So we see the growing numbers of this alliance. Going back to Jeremiah, and I bring this out a lot, Jeremiah 50:9, there will be an assembly of great nations that will come up against Babylon, which is all prophecy. Now there's over 30 nations. It says, as BRICS expands its influence on global affairs continue to grow. offering a platform for like-minded countries to drive the establishment of a multipolar world order, meaning a world order that doesn't just, is not headed by America and the dollar, right? That's going into that multipolar. Now it goes on to say, innovation and technology cooperation offers unique opportunities for BRICS members to pursue shared progress. So these nations are coming together with the same mind to do away with the rule of Babylon, which is America. That's the shared goals there that you see here. Now, we read here, a sound of battle is in the land. What's to come is World War III. Now let's go over to Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, right? This is all prophecy. So ultimately, there's two nations that's rising in the last days, right? Which is prophecy. And one of the nations that's rising is, and we're going to read it here, the nations with the MEDES. And that's the BRICS alliance. And we'll get to the second nation as we go along. This is Jeremiah 51 and verse 6. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon. This means to come out of the ways of the world, come out of the ways of America. And this is a message to the children of Israel, the Most High's people. This is a final call, a final warning from the men of the Lord. When you read Isaiah 58 and 1, Amos 3 and 6, right? 1 Corinthians 14 and verse 7, right? This trumpet is being blown, this warning is being given, but it's not, indefinitely. It's not continuously, or the men of the Lord are not going to be, here in perpetuity doing, warning and teaching and, giving understanding. This is only for a period of time. Jeremiah 51 and 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon. So the Most High is requiring that his people come out of the ways of the world, come out of the ways of America, right? And deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her, Babylon the great America, a recompense. Verse 7, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. So all these nations that's coming against America, which is prophecy, they are mad, literally and figuratively. They're mad because they've been taken on the ways of Babylon, and now they have awakened to who America truly is. As the prophets and the men of the Lord are out exposing Babylon for being the wicked, Esau for being the man of sin, and the man who's going into perdition. So these nations are mad, and they're ready to get vengeance on Babylon. Jeremiah 51 and verse 8, suddenly, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, which is what the noise you hear in the background. This is the battle cry. This is World War III. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. So this place is about to be destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so, be she may be healed. Verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. So no amount of stimulus packages, whoever the new president is going to be, forgiving college debt, whatever the case is, giving out, tax credits to people, over 1 million, over 100 million Americans has been proposed to get tax credits, whatever the case is, not counting taxes on people who make tips. It doesn't matter. None of that is going to stop the inevitability that Babylon is going to be destroyed, that these nations that are rising up against her, is prophecy that they're going to fire nuclear missiles on America. That's prophecy. There's no way around that, because God, the Most High Yahweh, he said it was going to happen, and he's actually performing that day by day. Forsake her. This is the time, if you are a believer, to forsake Babylon. If you are a child of God, if you are an Israelite, and if you are an Israelite that will be of the elect, you will be forsaking Babylon in this time by coming back to knowing who you are and knowing who Babylon the Great is, America, and knowing who the Edomites are, your oppressors, the chief enemy of the Most High, and that the Most High hate the wicked. Zechariah 2 and 6, ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, which is America, saith Yahweh, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven. Our people went into captivity on the four corners of the earth, right? amongst all the nations. Saith the Lord Yahweh, deliver thyself, O Zion. It says the same thing in the book of Jeremiah 51. How do we deliver ourselves? By coming back to the commandments, by having faith, returning to being an Israelite. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. Now you know, right, that you are dwelling in the belly of the beast and in captivity by way of the daughter of Babylon, which is America, which are the Edomites. Back in Jeremiah 51 and 9, it says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Verse 10. That's chronicled very heavily in Revelation, the 18th chapter, post-destruction, right? That the sins of Babylon have reached to heaven. They've reached to the Most High. Verse 10. The Lord Yahweh hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion to Zion the monument of the Lord Yahweh, the work of the Lord Yahweh, our power. And that's being shown through the believers. First start with the men of the Lord that's out doing the work on the highways and hedges on the forefront, right? In the midst of the battle, fighting in spiritual war. Jeremiah 51 and 11, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. This will be the Russians today. The spirit of the kings of the Medes. So the Most High put the spirit back on, the Russians, the Medes. In this time, starting back when you go all the way back, but even to the time when the USSR and America were going at it. And that was going back to the time of the 80s, the Cold War. That spirit, he's put the spirit back on them to fulfill prophecy. Continuing on, it says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. His temple is speaking about his people. Let's show that. So this is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh's temple, meaning the vengeance of his people. Right? His temple are his people. This is 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 20. It says, behold, saith the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me. That's the gathering of the nations. That great assembly of nations, once again in Jeremiah 50 and 9, that's coming against Babylon here in the last days, which today we know as the BRICS Alliance, pertaining to prophecy. That's that assembly of great nations. It says to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south and from the east, and Lebanus, to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them. And to know and understand this, you would have to read in the book of Psalm, the 83rd chapter, to repay the things that they have done to them, which is speaking about the nations conspiring together when you read in Psalm 83 to put the children of Israel, in captivity. That was the nations coming together, selling us to the four winds of the earth, right? Which is during the transatlantic, the Arab, the Native American, and the Dutch slave trades. These are examples of how we went to the four winds of heaven. 2nd Ezra 15 and 21, like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, the chosen speaking about the children of Israel, so will I do also in recompense in their bosom, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. So the Most High is repaying what was done to the children of Israel. That's why World War III is actually at play right now. That's why it's at hand here in the last days, prophetically. So you have the nations that's rising up against Babylon, right? That assembly of great nations. But you also have another nation that's rising up, which we're going to touch on here in a second, which is the nation of Israel, right? The Israelites here in the last days. So there's prophecy in the last days that two nations or two armies would be rising. Two armies would be rising. Let's say it that way, right? So the army of the Lord and the army that the Most High has raised to come up against Babylon. Now, this is Ezekiel 38, and I'm going to go to the point. In verse 4, it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords," speaking of all those nations coming together. And they have an economic, agenda to push de-dollarization, to allow the dollar to plummet. They also have an agenda for military, which is Russia. We're going to continue to read. The MEDES will be a guard unto the other nations that are assembled amongst them. They will be a big part of the military might. And then they have economic, more of the economic push through China, who is the biggest supplier, basically of goods to the world. And then agricultural with Argentina and other nations, Brazil. So altogether, this is this army, this conglomerate of nations, right, is coming together as a force to bring Babylon down. That's what it's going to take here in the last days. And this is all by the will of the Most High. Verse 5, now it's going to tell you the actual nations. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, meaning these are all their military equipment and weapons. So you see Persia is joined with this alliance, right? Iran, those are the Persians. So it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya. These will be even other nations, on the continent of Africa. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, this would be Turkey. We read about Turkey on there. And all his bands, the house of Togarmah and of the north quarters, and all his bands. So these would be all these nations that's allied together. And many people with thee, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself. It says, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So headed by the Medes, the Russians, they are a big brother, a guard, right? The bear is a guard unto the other nations that is joined with all those other 30 nations, and that number continues to grow because many other nations are seeking membership. Verse 8, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Let's continue to read. Verse 9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, this assembly of nations. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, all the other neighboring nations coming together, that multilateral fighting force, and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at that same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. That evil thought is to actually shoot the nuclear missiles on Babylon, because this is what this is making reference to. And verse 11 is going to make it clear. Ezekiel 38 and 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, another name for America, prophetically. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. And that's because you have all the states, the 50-state system, where you can maneuver all throughout the states, and there's nothing stopping you from going with the interstate highways, going from one state, from one city, from one part of the country to another. So this is that prophecy proving that. Now let's go down here. It's a lot of reading. Let's just get to the point. Ezekiel 38 and 15, and thou shalt come forth, and that thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, speaking of the Medes, the Russians, all of them riding upon horses, all of them with their fighting equipment, their tanks, their submarines, their fighter jets, right? Their drones, a great company, that's an assembly, and it says a mighty army. This is one of those mighty armies that's prophesied to come up against Babylon in the last days. So we're seeing this is clearly the BRICS alliance, right? Now, simultaneously, the Most High is raising up his army as well at the same time. Now, let's go back a chapter and show that. And we'll get ready to close it out. I don't want to make this video too long. Just wanted to touch on this. So this is Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel 37, now this goes into the valley of the dry bones, which is the awakening of the children of Israel. And we know these scriptures, we read them many times. I want to get right to the point. So Ezekiel 37, and I'll start about here. Ezekiel 37 and 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith Ha'adawan, or the Lord Yahweh. It says, come from the four winds, O breath, that's the understanding, and breathe upon these slain that they may live. This is the children of Israel awakening, right? That second of those great armies that's been prophesied to stand up in the last days. So as the BRICS alliance is rising up, you got the Most High's army is rising up as well, which is his army. The children of Israel, the elect, I should say, right? So they are living again in the sight of the Most High by coming back to this wise counsel, to this understanding. Ezekiel 37 and 10, so I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, the understanding. And they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. So this army, just like the army we just read about, which was the BRICS alliance, the nations with Russia, the MEDES, coming up against Babylon, but the Most High is raising his army up against everybody, right? He's raising up his army against everybody. Now, the army of the Lord is going to prevail because the men of the Lord actually have the protection of the Most High and the angels as things get more and more hectic, right? The scriptures tell us that Michael, the archangel, is going to have to come down and actually stand for the children of Israel, the true people of God. Right? Let me get this. Let me go down to verse 12. Ezekiel 37 and 12. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith Ha'adawan, Yahweh, behold, O my people, I will open your graves. We've been brought back to life from being dead. Right? The scriptures say our people remain amongst the graves. So 2/3 of our people remain asleep. They remain in a dead state. So they're still in their grave. But the elect are being raised up out of the grave, coming back to life, coming back to this understanding, and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. So that would be further proof that the people in the land of Israel now cannot be the people of the Most High, because the scriptures say the Most High will bring us back into the land of Israel, right? And that will be through Yahweh Shai. Now, let me get this. This comes to mind, 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter. 2nd Ezra 6, let me highlight this. In verse 12, it says, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens. This is Esdras, right, being shown things, going back to him in Uriel, which tokens goes into the signs. Show thy servant the end of thy tokens, what's going to happen in the last days. Wherefore thou showeth me part the last night. Now, let's go down a little bit. Just hit the point. Let's go here. This is 2nd Ezra 6 and 20. And it reads, speaking of the tokens, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away, that's just talking about the second death, World War III, shall be finished, then will I show these tokens, the signs are what? The prophecies today. The book shall be open before the firmament, and they shall see all together. Meaning this is all going to be very clear in the last days to the believers, right? The vision. Let me get that in Habakkuk and close it out, right? So it says you're going to see all together. Then we're going to see all together, which is making reference, the tokens is making reference to the prophecies coming to pass. This is the book of Habakkuk 2 and 2. And the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision, which are the prophecies, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So that we would take this understanding and give it to another believer. Verse 3, for the vision, the prophecies, is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, meaning it's going to come to pass. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. We're in a time where it's surely coming, and it's not tarrying anymore. So all praises be to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. The water Yahweh, the water Yahweh Shai, the Rakatha Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All praises, honor, and glory be to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, whose name is Yahweh Shai. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel, Barakim La, Habayath, Madawada, blessings to the house of David, which are your brothers laboring, and to the Akim wa Agwath, which are the brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel being preached throughout the four corners of the earth, day in and day out. Unto you I say Shalom.